So now I'm gonna take a fluffy blending brush and I'm just gonna Hey guys, so we're gonna jump right in. We're gonna get started. Today I'm gonna be reviewing the Makeup Shayla collab with ColourPop. So first, to get started, we are gonna look at the actual palette itself. So this is the Perception Shayla and ColourPop collab. This is what the packaging looks like for the actual palette itself. And I do like that it's this black chic packaging with this gold and purple drip on it. I don't even know what to call it, but we're gonna call it the drip for this video. And on the back, it has the actual shadows, their placement and their names in the palette itself. And I think that's a really cool guide because it gives you an idea of what the shadows are. So this is the actual palette for the packaging for the palette. Now I did purchase 2 lipsticks as well. I have, this is Quickie and this is the shade Oouuuu, which is, you know, Shayla's sound effect. Also same packaging, this black chic packaging with this gold and purple drip. And I kind of like the packaging on the lipsticks because it does look like a little bit of a splatter. And this is the Neat Freak lip gloss, which is, let me see, this is so it doesn't tell you what kind of gloss it is, but this is the packaging for the gloss. Now the packaging for the gloss is a little different, and I'm guessing because it's an actual gloss. It's a lighter color packaging with more so of a like gold, like the drip and splatter look that it's giving from the original palettes themselves. But like I said, this is the gloss as well. So now we're gonna open up the actual shadow palette. And I will say that I have been in this packaging and I'm a little upset. When I first opened my packaging, my mirror is shattered. So I wasn't really happy about that, but nonetheless, I wasn't screaming at the same time. Aside from the actual shattered palette, the shattered mirror, we have the actual palette itself. I did swatch these initially, and like I said, I am happy that they do have, that this palette comes in a form where I can actually use a brush. Like I said, that was one of the things that stopped me from purchasing ColourPop shadows initially, is because I couldn't use a brush with them, or at least I didn't find a way to do that. So now we're actually going to get into the actual palette itself. And I'm gonna pick up the shade Culture, which is the shade in here. See if it'll focus on the actual palette, which is the shade here. And I'm gonna apply that to my crease. Now I'm going to go back into the palette and I'm going to use the shade Thic, which is this matte orange shade here. And I really love orange in my crease and as a transition shade. It, in my opinion, is probably one of the nicest shades to use. So now I'm going to take a fluffy blending brush and I'm just going to... So now I'm going to take a fluffy blending brush. This is my Morphe 511 brush. And I'm just going to buff all of that out and blend it together really well. On this brush, I'm going to go back into the first shade, which was Culture, which is that nude shade that we initially applied to the crease. And I'm just going to use that to help me buff this out. Alright, so now I am going to take this blending brush from e.l.f. and I'm going to dip it into the shade Revenge, which is the shade on the end here. So let me see if I can move that closer. This is what I should have done initially so you can see what the actual palette is looking like as I'm picking up the shades. It's going to be this shade here. Alright, so I'm going to dip that in, tap off the excess, And then I'm gonna apply that to the outer V and into my crease. So yeah, I'm really impressed with the actual pigment on these shadows and how they're blending. They're blending really well. So now I'm just gonna go back in with that fluffy blending brush and I'm just gonna buff that out. Chloe, have a seat please. Alright, so now for the actual lid portion of my eye, I am going to use the shade Strut and Slay, which is the shade here. And I'm going to take a really dense packing brush and I'm just going to pack that onto my lid. Oh, that's nice. Alright, now that the lid is completed, I am going to go into the shade Played Out, which is the shade here. And I'm just going to deepen up the outer V area next to, like in here a little bit. Alright, and I also brought it into my crease area. So I'm going to take my blending brush again and just lightly buff that out to soften it. And then I'm going to go back into this shade Strut and Slay and just pack a little more onto my lid. Now I feel like, although I feel like I have a lot of pigment on my lid, but I also feel like it looks a little patchy in some areas, which is why I'm going to go back over it. And this palette definitely does have fallout because I'm noticing shadow on my cheek area. So you definitely want to be careful, especially if you've already done like your base makeup like I have. So I'm going to take my fluffy brush that I normally use for like my powder, my excess setting powder, and just use that to dust away the fallout. So some of that pigment actually didn't dust away, and it does look like I have a bit of an under eye highlight, which I'm not really a fan of. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that setting powder and just dust it on top of that in hopes that it'll help get rid of that, because we don't want that. Alright, and I still feel like you can see it, it's just not as prominent as it was before. Alright, and to smoke out my lower lash line, I am going to use the shade, I'm going to go in with Thic, which is that orangey shade here. And then I am going to use that shade Revenge, which is this one here. And I'm just going to apply it on top of Thic. So now I'm going to go in with the Boomin highlighter, which I actually forgot to mention. It's a loose powder highlighter. Now I don't have the original packaging. I'm not sure what happened when I was looking at the items when they first came in, but I'm really excited for the highlighter. As most of you know, I am a big highlighter person. So I'm really excited to see what this is going to look like. So this is what the highlighter looks like. I'm just going to touch it a little bit because I want to see what it feels like. So it is a really silky, finely milled powder. I'm really impressed, especially like I said, not that I have anything against ColourPop, but I normally associate ColourPop with what is it, like drugstore in my opinion. So I'm really impressed for them to have a loose highlighting powder and for it to feel like a more expensive powder, if you will. So I have my highlighting brush. It actually broke. This is a Morphe brush. I really love Morphe brushes because I feel like the bristles are really good quality, but in my opinion the handle part never lasts long, which is really upsetting. But I can't be too mad, especially because their brushes are really inexpensive. So this is the brush that I'm going to use to apply this highlighter. Alright, so it has a little bit of glow. Initially I'm going to apply a little more. Alright, it's nice, but I was expecting a little bit more. Maybe I need to apply a little more, but I don't know how much to apply. Normally I do highlighter pretty well, but I mean, I don't know, this is just subtle for me. See, I feel like this is pretty subtle for me, at least. I definitely was expecting a little bit more in the highlighting department, especially because Shayla also likes highlighter as well. But I feel like I'm getting really good pigment on like the tip of my nose. Let me see. I mean, it's not bad, but in my opinion, it's subtle for me. Even my chin highlight is popping, but this is pretty like, I don't know, I feel like I need more. I mean, it's not bad, but like I said, I was just expecting a little more. Alright, so I'm actually going to apply a little more highlighter to my cheeks because this is bothering me now. Alright, I feel a little better now. So maybe third time's the charm. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to lightly mist my face with a little bit of Fix Plus to help that melt in. Alright, it does look a little better now. I feel a little better now. Alright, so next I'm gonna go in with lips. And we have two options for lipstick. This shade is Quickie. This is, ooh. I think I'm gonna go with Quickie and then put the Neat Freak gloss on top. Alright, you definitely have to be careful with this gloss because it can look very chalky quick. Yeah, it can look very chalky. It looks a little chalky on me. So you definitely have to be careful. You may want to apply a lip liner, but I'm going to go over that with the Neat Freak gloss. This is the Ultra Glossy Lip. So with this gloss, I actually wish the wand picked up a little more product. I feel like it is a little skim. Yeah, I don't have too many ColourPop glosses, but yeah, I definitely wish this wand picked up more product. So I won't have to dip back in the actual product itself too many times. So that is the lip with, that's Quickie with Neat Freak gloss on top. And I think I like the lip a little bit more. So now I'm just gonna finish up and then I'll be back for my final review. Alright guys, so this is the final look. I really love the eyeshadow palette. I feel like the colors work well together, all together I will say, and that you can pretty much mix and match to create numerous looks. So I am excited to continue using the palette. I did like the lip products as well. I didn't get a chance to try Oouuuu on today, but I definitely will be trying that in the near future. However, with Quickie, I will say, depending on your tone and where you fall, you may want to use a lip liner with Quickie because like I said, it can get chalky pretty quickly. However, I don't think I'm doing too bad once I apply the gloss on top. Oh, excuse me. But by itself, I definitely think it would have been too chalky of a color for me. Now, the highlighter, I like it, but it's not something that I can see myself running after to use or repurchase. And part of that is because when I use a highlighter off rip, my first application, I want to see, you know, it boom basically. And I felt like it took me about 2 or 3 layerings before I could really see the amount of highlight that I normally expect from a product. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's just this formula that does not work for me that I'm not a fan of, but I'm definitely gonna try with 2 or 3 other brushes and see if that makes a difference. But from the first trying of the product today with the pointed contour brush, which is the brush that I normally use to highlight, I really wasn't a fan of the application. The gloss I really like as well. I feel like it's a great gloss formula itself. It's pretty much like a clear gloss, however it does have a ton of shimmer in it, which I'm a fan of. It doesn't bother me at all, and I feel like it works really well for this lip. So I am excited to actually try the gloss by itself without any lipstick underneath. But other than that, I feel like it's really nice. It's not sticky at all, and it does have a really high shine, which is what I expect from a gloss, so kudos to ColourPop and Shayla for that. But like I said, I'm definitely a big fan of the palette. I really love this eye look here, and I definitely can see myself getting different kinds of looks and multiple uses out of this one palette here. I'm not happy about my mirror arriving shattered, however that has nothing to do with Shayla, that's just shipping itself. But other than that, this is a really pretty palette, and I do love the mix of metallics and the matte, and I definitely feel like you can, like I said, mix and match these, especially with the mattes, in order to create like your crease color or even an all over matte look. I feel like it definitely works, but you definitely get a ton of various options out of this one palette, and I feel like it can easily go from day to night. That's my review, my demo using the ColourPop Shayla collab. I really hope that you all enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.